Hi Scorps, welcome back. My name is Tawana. Today we're doing a reading for you. This reading won't resonate with everyone, but it is intended for Scorpio Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements. And I'm using a couple of decks today. I will be using the Work Your Light Oracle deck, which has been really inspiring to me lately, and a recent fave, the Radiant Wilds Atlas Tarot deck. As usual, the Angel Answers Oracle, and I felt like using this for your reading, even though I haven't used it in a really long time. It is called the Sacred Self-Care Oracle. So let's do this. Okay, Scorps. We're starting your reading with a card that is very beautiful to me personally. It's called Keepers of the Earth. And if you take a look at this card and you see this image of this being, you could see how deeply protected he or she is. It's a she in this card, but you don't have to be a woman to resonate with this. It's a card just illustrating how deeply held, kept, protected, and possibly guided you are, even in the moments that you have to make critical or tough decisions that don't feel good, even in the times that you feel alone or you feel like the path has gotten tiresome or lonely. Like there's an ancient grandmother figure with wings hair who's like above this person, and I feel like it's almost like a reminder to you that you are being guided, you are being protected, even if you feel like you're alone, like you are continue following the path. And I if you can tell, it's almost like this person doesn't notice that they have wings. They don't notice their own wings. So could you possibly be even forgetting your magic, downplaying your magic? Simply because like you may feel overly emotional or just maybe isolated or lonely. And then we have Pleiades, which has been coming out. Scorpio, I feel a very deep sadness from this reading, and we're not gonna stop. We're not gonna cry today. I don't know what has been happening with me, but ever since Saturn moved into Pisces, which Saturn is my ruling planet, it's been waterworks. Like I was not a crier. I was not a crier until Saturn moved into Pisces. And now I'm so moved by every little thing. I'm just deeply moved, very deeply moved. I think in general, I am somebody who has always like hated seeing any kind of suffering. Like I don't like seeing suffering, but now it's like I'm having a deeply emotional response to suffering or pain or anything that is deeply hurtful, just because of my own empathy for that individual. Anyway, we're gonna continue. The Pleiades card came out in somebody else's reading, and I was explaining that the Pleiadians are a star race. A lot of people who identify as star seeds now, this is one of the lineages, I guess, that they would tie back to, the Pleiadians. If you don't know them, there's a bunch of resources on YouTube you could go and look at, like people channeling them to this day. But the Pleiadians came to Earth to seed new consciousness. I mean, we always need to increase the consciousness on Earth. But they have been coming here for a really long time to like help with the planet's development. And now it's almost like if you read any kind of books on the nature of souls and having different lifetimes, this is based on the fact that many of us are continuing the work of the Pleiadians because we are reincarnations of them. We are reincarnations as hybrid souls of maybe Pleiadians or Lemurians or whatever star race there is, because we came here to seed new consciousness on the planet. That's why people use the term light worker. So you can do your own research on this, and if you identify with the Palladians or feel pulled to that, you should definitely go look into that. But on a very basic level, this can also talk about being pulled in multiple directions. The card says double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. And to me, this card on a very micro level can just talk about being pulled here and also being pulled there. And then we have Starseed, what lights you up. It's almost like you're figuring out your North Star, or you're figuring out what lights you up, you're figuring out who lights you up, but that feels like a process, like a slow process. And maybe one that you have to do in your own space, your own solitude, not in relationship to another, but you have to do this work on your own. Or you have been doing this work on your own, and in that solitude, you have discovered something that is pulling on you, a direction that is calling you, a person that is calling to you. Let's get into the tarot. The first set of cards we have are the King of Wands and the Six of Wands. This may be you, Scorpios, or this may be someone in your reality who is acting as a fire sign. To me, this King of Wands always talks about perspective. The power of this King of Wands is their perspective. I feel like they can see potentials. Maybe they are somebody who identifies as like a visionary. They have like grand visionary ideas. They can always see a little bit further up ahead. They can see possibilities and outcomes. And I feel like this King of Wands is clarified by the Six of Wands. So it's almost like this King of Wands is having a vision of a reality that they would like to, or they feel like would be successful for them, for you, for the both of you. But this King of Wands is tapping into his or her, like, because this doesn't have to be a man, this could be a woman in their masculine energy, but this person is tapping into like a vision. And if you notice, like this is bigger than the third eye, but to me, this is like an illumination of the mind in this card. And there are 4 people watching this happen. It's almost like everybody may not be able to see the vision, but the King of Wands can. Oh, and I've never even really seen 2 people on the side of the King of Wands. Maybe like everybody else isn't able to see the possibility of these 2 people coming together, but the King of Wands can. All right, so beside that King of Wands, we also have the Queen of Wands, which is coming up as an equal to whoever the King of Wands is. This is a masculine and feminine energy. But like I said, like sex doesn't really matter here. These are just energies. The Queen of Wands to me is like the other end of the dynamic. And even though they're equals, it's like the Queen of Wands, their edge is they can pull in perspectives from maybe multiple realities, multiple dimensions. Because the Queen of Wands is always coming out to me in this deck as somebody who is very dynamic. Like you couldn't imagine what they're capable of doing until they do it. And you're like, wow, you could do that? That's how I imagine this Queen of Wands. So these 2 are equals. And it feels to me like this is a story between both of these people. The Queen of Wands, it looks like, is making a decision. And based on this Queen of Wands decision, it feels like the Queen of Wands is making a decision that is, who knows, maybe the Queen of Wands is deciding on a path. Because this to me is the King of Pentacles is coming up as a path to me in this deck. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It's feels like a path. Like the Queen of Wands is deciding on a path to follow that is ultimately, I feel like, bringing this level of disappointment between the two. Five of Cups, Eight of Wands. This feels like, to me, like I'm thinking. Like being disappointed in the actions that are being taken in this scenario, or the lack thereof of action being taken in this scenario. I feel like the decision maker here is the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is deciding something that almost feels like it brings disappointment. It brings, or maybe the Queen of Wands is making a decision based on the disappointment between these two. Maybe the Queen of Wands is picking another path based on there being some kind of disappointment, regret, remorse, loss between them and their equal. I almost want to clarify this. Clarify the Eight of Wands. Ace of Swords. Maybe this is a communication thing. Maybe this is a communication thing or a clarity thing. Maybe the King of Wands is finding out the fact that this Queen of Wands is choosing a different path. Maybe a path that doesn't include them traveling together, because like I said, it's almost like these two are buddies. Like they go together like yin and yang, Siamese twins. The King of Wands has the vision. The Queen of Wands comes in with like the multiple different perspectives and the multiple different pathways to elevate this King of Wands' vision. So they've been working together, whether in whatever capacity you've been working with someone. It just feels like, based on the one person making a decision in this dynamic, it causes the dynamic to collapse. And then beside that, we have the Two of Cups and the Knight of Swords, which to me, this is almost like communication. Maybe there's a lack of communication here, because the Two of Cups is coming up to me as a union card. It's like these two aren't able, like the union is no longer a thing. Like you guys are not working together anymore. You guys aren't participating together. You guys aren't conquering reality together anymore. That's how this feels. And maybe I don't know what part of the process you are in this, if like you're in the disconnection phase or you're whatever, but this feels like maybe there's like a lapse in communication between the two. It doesn't feel like the end. It feels like like this story is playing out within a couple of weeks, or it's playing out over weeks or over months. That's how this feels. Like there's a disconnection that happens based on someone's decision making. And then there seems to be like this process of waiting. Four of Wands, Seven of Pentacles. Like, I'm waiting for you to say something, but nothing is being said. And it's almost like, based on the lack of communication between the both of you, the vision is not like, King of Wands can't envision like he used to. Queen of Wands keeps all of her perspectives to herself. Like what used to be a great duo, union, business partnership, collaboration, relationship is no longer that. Like you guys aren't working together. You guys aren't sharing the vision anymore. So it's like the success of this is up in the air. It's in the balance. Two of Pentacles and the Sun. like this duo, this whatever you both are working on or were working on is hanging in the balance. Clarify the sun. Queen of Pentacles. Maybe this is something financial. Or maybe it's the Queen of Pentacles who's making this decision. Feels like there's a fallout, and then there's almost time that two people need to have. Almost like doing their own healing work on their own, recalibrating their energies individually. And possibly doing like some healing work that you couldn't have done in union with the other person. And this to me feels like a very thorough healing process, because the Page of Swords is here. So it's like very investigative. Why do I feel the way that I do? And maybe that's why I felt this deep sadness with the "you are not alone," because it's in this disconnection where like I feel like two people actually do get a chance to heal. It's almost like they couldn't do it together. Maybe they work so well together, and that's why this feels like such a jarring experience for one or both of them to have. Maybe that's why you feel so alone, Scorpio, because it feels like you were conquering reality with this Queen of Wands, or the Queen of Wands. It looks like you were conquering reality with this King of Wands. And maybe you got so used to the process and so used to working together that, of course, now when you separate, there is an energy of, wow, I'm alone now. Like, a song lyric just came to mind. I can't remember the Kanye song, but it's a line that says, almost, I can't remember the line right now. It's a line that talks about Cleopatra roaming without Caesar. Like you can't roam without Caesar, but Cleopatra actually could. Yeah, so it's in a deep like contemplation that I feel like healing is achieved. It's almost like you guys couldn't do it together, and maybe that's why there needed to be this energy of disconnection, because I don't feel like this is a disconnection that just happens like we don't talk and I'll see you next week. This feels like it's like taking weeks, months, like time is passing. Like time is passing by. It feels like a process. And then we have the Three of Wands, Page of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, which to me, it feels like the Queen of Wands, whoever the Queen of Wands is, maybe choosing something else, choosing a different, like they're fully committing to the path that they're choosing. Remember, we started the reading with the Queen of Wands almost like investigating this new path. And I feel like this is where the new path is chosen. The new path feels like it's chosen. And there's a lot of peace with that. Maybe this is a dissolving of a relationship between two people. To close the reading, we have the Five of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords. This feels like new energy. This feels like the Queen of Wands choosing new energy. Because to me, that's what the Ace of Cups is. And this could be new relationships, perhaps, in whatever capacity those relationships fall into in your life. But it almost feels like we're closing the reading with the Five of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords. It's almost like, I don't know if this is the King of Wands, but let me get some. Who is this? Who's the Seven of Swords? Who is the Seven of Swords? Who is the Seven of Swords? Knight of Cups. All right, cool. It's almost like whatever existed between this King of Wands and this Queen of Wands is coming back up, even though the Queen of Wands is, it's a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn in December. This makes absolute sense. It's almost like this Queen of Wands is picking a new path, and here comes the King of Wands strategizing their way in to work on possibly the conflict between them, to communicate, to say something like, hey, we could still work on this business together. Hey, I know we fell out, but like we could still do this project together. Hey, we could still do this relationship together. Whatever the case is, but it's like this, the compromise is being offered too late. That's how this feels. It feels like the Queen of Wands is picking the new path. Actually, looks like they already picked it, but this is where like they commit to and accept the new path. Which to me feels like the direction to go into, in all honesty. So I don't know where you fall in this, Scorpio, but yeah. I'm actually really happy to come out of this energy because now I have a headache and I'm gonna cry in the shower after this. Spirit, what's the advice for the for Scorpios? What's the advice for Scorpios? Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I don't know what it is about, like, I don't know. Is this how you Pisces people feel all the time? Saturn being in Pisces has just been too much. It's too much. It's too emotional. It's too much flow. It's too much, like, is this how water sign people feel all the time? Like your emotions feel like this all the time? That's crazy to me. What's the advice for Scorpios? Now I know why I felt called to the self-care deck. Too many. Advice for Scorpios. Perfect. Okay, self-care card. Make an altar. Remember we started with this grandmother image too. Like maybe your ancestors are trying to connect right now. So connect with your altar. Make one if you don't have one. Meditate. And sing. Let's get some angel cards. What's the angel advice for Scorpio? It's up to you. Anything else? Anything else for Scorpio? Remain positive. Scorps, I'm going to leave you here. I really hope this was helpful to someone, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.